if you're one of those people who has a script or has a project or has a production and you're looking to hire a team, you're looking to hire actors, do casting, do not be that weird, inappropriate old man. Okay, I'm joking. Jon is not that. No, Jon, I'm sorry.
I thought we talking about the peach state. I'm not talking about no Georgia. I'm saying. Welcome to the Elevated Creativity Podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan Harris, aka Jon of Monarch Mentality Productions.
And I'm his co-host, Kwalanda, aka Q of Q Up Productions. And on this podcast, we like to discuss ways in which creatives can take their talents to the next level. So if you're interested in elevating your creativity, stay tuned for today's episode. And today's episode is titled Lights, Camera, Action, Working on Set. And me and Jon are going to share our experiences working on set because like we've told you guys before in the past 2 episodes, and if you have not checked out the other episodes,
make sure you check it out.
Boom, there you go. But we're going to talk about ways that you can get hired to work on set, how to book different projects, different gigs. We're going to talk about the film set environment, right? Because if you've never worked on a film set before, it can be intimidating when you go to set and you're surrounded by all these people. You got all the equipment everywhere. So for those of you who are listening to the podcast and you've never had that experience, we want to kind of help you out and give you some pointers. And for those of you who have worked on set before, you know, you can key with us a little bit because we're going to share some stories. So we're sure you guys have your own stories and experiences too.
I also want to show how to ensure you get ass back on set, you know,
Definitely.
or either like referred to the next project. Mm-hmm. And me and Q will do a recollection of, you know, our most memorable personal experiences on set and everything.
And we got a lot of memories, y'all. There's one time, well, okay, I can't jump ahead and get into the story, but to give y'all a little sneak peek and to let Jon know what I'm thinking, remember the time when they thought we were really shooting on set and they called the police?
Oh, that was funny.
Okay, but we jumping ahead. So if you want to hear more about this story, stay tuned to the... If you want to hear more about this story, stay tuned to today's episode. For those of you who are listening, if this is your first time tuning in, Jon and I are both independent filmmakers. We're independent film producers. Jon is also a storyboard artist. I'm also a writer and director. We wear many hats, right?
And not just storyboard artists. We're not going to limit it to that visual artist. So
I apologize.
I mean with the pen, pencils, color pencils, all of that. Everything. All art mediums.
Boom, there you go. But with all of that being said, so we have experience, you know, hiring people. And for those of you who may not know, let's take it to the basics, right? So what is a film producer? So there's different types of producers. You got line producers, supervising producers,
associate producers. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was it.
No,
that was all of them. And a producer, just a regular producer. Yeah.
Okay, we go from the top.
So the top is the executive producer. Right. That's going to be the person that's financing the project.
Money man, money woman, you know.
Right. And if they're not personally financing the project themselves, they're finding the money. So say you wrote a script and you have a project and you don't know where to start. And if you don't have the money yourself, you're going to be in the market for an executive producer to finance your project. Mm-hmm. So I've been an executive producer before.
Yeah, boss lady had been an executive producer before.
Oh, boss lady.
And she was one of the nicest executive producers.
Yeah, because, you know, you're dealing with money,
hey,
you know.
Because you had a co-executive producer.
Jon, we can't do that. We can't go there. We're not going to talk about people, y'all.
I didn't say it. Just innuendos. Let's keep it going. But let's get it.
But anyways, so the feature film we did, because we said we would go into detail about the projects we've worked on, A Time for Love, which can be found on the YouTube channel Q's Network. Well, the Q Network, but it's under Q's Network. Mm-hmm. And you can see that I was executive producer for that. Jon was associate producer. And also The Single Life, which is a web series we did. Jon worked as an associate producer on that.
No, I was a producer on that.
Oh, I'm sorry. He was a producer on that. So he was at the top. So there is a hierarchy.
It is a hierarchy.
Why has always got to be hierarchies in everything?
Because you got to break it down. See, okay, executive producer is pretty much the person. That's like the money man, money woman, right. Over the budget. It's not really one particular person over the budget, over the money, finances. Mm-hmm. The next thing would be, I would say, a regular producer, like a producer. a producer could be a collective of multi-producers, and everybody assists to bring the project together. That's helping with casting.
But wouldn't you put the supervising producer above the regular producer? Because the supervising producer supervises all of the department heads.
Yeah.
Got him. Yeah. Anyways, we're not going to spend too much time because there's a lot of positions on set. But Google is your friend. And you can go to QUpproductions.com because on my website, yes, I did. I actually have a page that outlines the different producers. But anyways.
Y'all make sure y'all check out her website.
Yes, please do. So to summarize all of that, when you hear producer, just think money. So if you do ever work on a film set and somebody, introduces you to a producer, just know that that's somebody of what we call above the line. So you have above the line and below the line. Above the line means that they basically are taken off the top. They're getting paid. They're the management team, so to speak, right, in corporate terms. And then below the line is going to be like your production assistants, your interns, things like that. Mm-hmm. So say you're just getting your start and you say, okay, how do I even get on a film set, right? Because I know John and I were going to talk about it from the perspective with us being producers. We've been the ones to hire people. We have casting calls, so we hired the actors, but we also hired the crew, right?
Most definitely. And Q, when you elaborate on this, we got to get it from a perspective, not only from Georgia, because the Peach State kind of sweet a little bit. We got a little favor over it. Georgia is kind of more favorable.
What are you talking about, peaches?
I ain't talking about those.
My mind went somewhere.
Her mind went totally left. What I mean, let me just talk to the audience real quick. What I'm saying is Georgia, we'd say Atlanta. Atlanta is like the new mecca of entertainment. They're popping as far as music. There's a lot of new artists coming out.
The Hollywood of the South.
The Hollywood of the South, I say. And I want to say that respectfully, not to put down any other states, but there's a lot of things going on in Georgia. So when you're getting jobs, I just want to say it from a perspective, not only from Georgia as the Peach State and how things are sweet here. That's what I was saying.
Oh, and yes,
okay. So don't say, oh, weird, man.
We're still going to get back to that, though. Because, John is not the old weird man. But we are going to talk about etiquette in the casting room as well as set etiquette, right? Because that's the whole point. We're talking about working on set today.
Just because I got big eyes don't mean that I tried to squint them. It was a lot going on today. Let's go moving forward.
Anyways, all right. So we talked about producers. Mm-hmm. We talked about above the line and below the line. Other people that you'll find on set are the director, script supervisor, the writer. Well, the writer's not always on set. Sometimes they are, because sometimes you have situations where the writer may have to rewrite a script. That happens, say one of the actors is not available, right? Mm-hmm. And you have to rewrite a scene. That actually happened to me on The Single Life. Were you there that day when we were at Our Rice at the restaurant?
I was there that day.
Yeah, so...
And we improv the whole scene.
We did. Well, they improv, but I rewrote the script and they did improv. So when you're an artist and when you work in the entertainment industry, you have to always be on point with your skills. So don't promote yourself as a writer, but then you're in a situation like that where you're forced to write on the spot and you have nothing, right? Because that especially, and again, we're talking from the independent standpoint. So there may be a situation where the morning of your shoot, an actor may call and say, hey, I can't make it. And the actor has half the dialogue. So what do? Do you cancel your whole shoot that day? Do you recast that person that day? Or do you rewrite your script to make it work with the actors that are there?
When you're wearing multiple hats for the situation that you're in, being the executive producer, the writer, and I believe you was the director at the same time.
For The Single Life.
Yeah, for The Single Life. So you already got the locations. We already done paid for the position. We already done, paid people to be there that day. And then if something changed, you gotta get down and dirty.
Down and dirty.
Hey. Anyway.
All right. So moving on. So basically, and okay, I think we skipped something important, right? Mm-hmm. Say you just moved to Atlanta or you just moved to North Carolina or New York or wherever you are. How do you find out about different projects going on, right? So how do you even get your foot through the door to get hired on productions?
They have a lot of pretty much forms. that's on.
Why are you using your corporate voice?
Because I almost slipped up on that word. You know what I'm saying? But no, it's a lot of outlets that you could actually check out. A lot of actors outlets. There's a lot of stuff that's just pretty much things that's going on in the city. I know it used to be everything's not tangible papers and newspapers, but it used to be a lot of stuff creative that's going on. Like they had creative loafing and all that kind of stuff. No, not creative. What was it?
Yeah, that was Creative Loafing. Now they have Actors Access. If you're an actor, they have actorsaccess.com. They have, I can't think of them, and we'll put them in the show notes once we do a little more research because I can't remember off the top of my head. But like Jon said, there are resources out there. There are websites that you can sign up for. Quite a few of them you actually have to pay a subscription for, which kind of sucks. But I mean, you get what you pay for.
Social media is your best friend.
Definitely social media.
Hashtags is your best friend. You go on social media, hashtag Atlanta actors. You hashtag whatever
grip, gaffers, whatever position,
whatever. And there's a lot of independent companies. There's a lot of people that's doing things around the city and it's okay to even, we'll get into trying to get on board and how to actually get hired. I was going to go into
go ahead.
If it's like an entry level position, sometimes you might just check, you can inbox somebody to see if they need help, if there's anything you can do on set. And they might say, well, we need a production assistant or we need somebody even to assist with like craft services. So, be somebody that pick up on game a little bit, learn. We're gonna go with.
But before you move on from that, I just want to say the production assistant is like the main entryway into the sets, from big productions to independent projects. So if you are somebody who wants to learn lighting, you want to learn sound, the easiest way to get your foot through the door is to work as a production assistant because they're gonna pull you to do everything. You're gonna go get lunch. You're gonna bring tape to the wardrobe person. You might slate, and we'll talk about what slating is a little bit later. And just all of those different positions. So typically in the film world, everybody who works production has at some point or another been a production assistant.
I know we were talking about actually like getting hired. What do you think the best way? Okay, you say start off as a production assistant, but how would you say a good way to actually get hired on set into something that you want to do?
So, and again, I want to keep reiterating that because, we're going to have the trolls in the comments like, well, I worked on Fox Studios, or I worked on Marvel Spider-Man and I didn't, but we're talking about independent film. So we just want to put that out there. That's our focus. Yeah, we're talking about professional films too.
And reason why we want to start with independent films, because I think that in a respectful way, I was going to say respectful way, these trolls, man, for real. In a respectful way, I say, independent films, you have a little more freedom.
Definitely.
Like even if you're saying, okay, well, and there's levels to independent films. You have people on independent films that's a little upper echelon. Sometimes you get to the bottom there.
You have celebrities who do independent films.
Oh, yeah.
Basically, and again, because we got to remember, some of our listeners may be new, right? So when we say independent film, that's basically outside of the Hollywood studio. So for example, you may be a famous celebrity and you may have an independent film. So that celebrity may be known and they may be, like Jon said, the upper echelon, but as a film producer, they're new. They're outside of the Hollywood circle. And so I'm gonna answer your question about what we look for, right? Or what advice I would give to them looking to get hired. I would say go in humble, one, because you're coming into a position, like we said, more than likely as a production assistant, or if you already have mad experience doing lights and sound and you have those skills and you're comfortable and confident, still go in humble, but make sure that you know and have your own equipment. I can't stress that enough. Don't be a sound guy and say, I can run sound, but I don't have no mics, or I got a broomstick instead of a real boom pole,
Okay. That's for real.
So basically have the equipment that you need, do your research. So if you signed up, like Jon said, if you slid into somebody's DMs, you saw them promoting their project, do a little research on that person. Don't just go into it blind, right? So you can have a connection with them and their project.
Yes, and like Q said as well, is a such thing as set etiquette. You gotta number one be humble, and when I say humble, I mean like have a humble personality. Don't get stepped on, and don't just go in there and get bamboozled because you might have and I don't want to say rinky dink. I say a more better word. I just say a smaller independent company or whatever, and they tell you to do something strange for no change. Now you can still have some integrity. You don't have to do all that, but just make sure that you be respectful, be open to receive new knowledge, to try to learn and understand, be open for certain things like that. But try to hold your own. Don't get caught up in the sauce.
There we go with the sauce. It's always about the sauce. All right. So how, Jon, did you get, well, we already kind of talked about how you got hired for your first project, but tell me about your experience when you worked on the film, like on your first film set. What was that like for you?
Well, I was, we ain't gonna go too deep into it, but I was actually kind of running with the crew. And
running with the crew?
Like a little crew. And I shot movies. I shot movies in my own hood, pretty much. So, like, you know what I'm saying? We actually kind of put people on. It wasn't, we brought a vision together, but it was kind of slightly unorthodox. So, I learned from.
So y'all were doing guerrilla filmmaking.
Yeah, it was some guerrillas on set. No, hey.
And guerrilla filmmaking, for those who may not know, is when you're, how can I describe this? Again, Google is your friend, but it's basically when you do what you got to do to get what you need for your project.
And for the trolls in the comment, guerrilla filming will be in the show notes. We have, by definition, it's going to be in the show notes.
We'll have the technical definition, but I'll give y'all an example. So say you can't afford a permit to film at an ice cream shop.
Oh, yeah, it was no permit. We were filming in drive-through liquor stores, gas stations. I'm talking about, so we had real props on set and fake props, but I'm not, that's hearsay. So you see it, just don't Google it anyway. Google not
So
your
that
best
was
friend.
an interesting first time experience.
Oh, yeah, it was some real deal stuff.
So Jon had an experience with indie and guerrilla filmmaking.
Yes.
Mixed in one.
And then I got a chance to kick it with some cool individuals. Mm-hmm. And they had everything so structured.
Oh, he's talking about my set.
Yeah, I came over there with Q or whatever like that. I made the male energy. Everybody was super urban. I say super urban on the, where we was at. And then I kind of came and kicked it with them. And they kind of spoiled me. So it's kind of like you used to drinking City Punch, that's tap water. And then somebody said, here's a bottle of some alkaline water. You're like, man, I don't taste the aftertaste. This is good. And now you want alkaline water.
And you haven't been back since.
Hey.
Thank you. Thank you. I want to give some practical advice to people who are looking to work on set as a crew member. And I think, Jon, we should give out some more positions because I know we talked about producers. We talked about production assistants, which, again, I can't stress enough that you're more than likely going to start off as a production assistant, which is great, though, because that's how you'll learn what you like to do and what you don't like to do. Because you'll get it. And just ask questions. Now, don't be a pest. Don't be that person asking questions every 5 minutes. Do not talk to the director unless the director welcomes you. You know, again, like Jon mentioned before, set etiquette. There's just certain things you do and you don't do.
And don't be a production assistant and be back there helping out with helping out with
what?
Somebody helping out running the camera, and then they trying to tell the people who's auditioning how to do this and do that. But we're not going there.
I remember that. Okay. So from our perspective as a producer, our job is to maintain the flow, whether it's on set filming, at the casting call, at rehearsals, at table reads. So I think it might have been me because I'm ashamed to say I was the one that brought this person on. Good old Q, always bringing people on.
She just get folk just, hey, what you doing?
No, I don't.
Go ask her for change outside the Quick Trip on Western Chapel. She like, hey, you've been on I'm joking. She don't do that. Let me stop.
No. But this person, he took the right path, right? Because he expressed an interest in working on set. So I said, okay, you can work as a production assistant on this particular project. But basically, long story short, when that happened, as a producer, I had to pull him to the side. You know, I pulled him out into the hallway, and I basically, in a professional way, that they always use me to be the professional person. They use Jon to be the bouncer.
Yeah, I be kicking folk off set. Okay.
But I basically just informed him about set etiquette, even, you know, casting call etiquette. True. Hey, in the nicest way possible, shut up. Don't say nothing unless we ask you something. And I hate to say it like that, but that's really how it goes.
Now, let's elaborate more on jobs. Because we were talking about production assistants. Let's talk about everything from craft services. Even with that, we want to talk about, like, how can you, I would say when you're trying to get hired on an indie set, or if you're getting hired on a film set particularly, see what fits you. Like, I came in the game, you know, I'm a visual artist, so I came in the game as a storyboard artist, so doing storyboards and doing certain things. That was unheard of independently. And it still is now, man. You can't really hardly find too many local independent storyboard artists for independent projects because, you know, it's a process. But find something that you could do. If you know how to cook, if you got a catering service, if you just... you could be the cook at Waffle House and be pretty fine with it, you know, and pretty good with it. But and if you say, well, you know, let me see if I can do something for craft services. Let me see if I can do. You can find a way, something that's going on set where you can include yourself. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of positions. There's a lot of things. Line producers. That's somebody even helping with time and keeping things on schedule. But they even have somebody under them to help them. Assist them with that. So it's so many jobs.
And if you're somebody who pays close attention to details, like if you find yourself watching movies and you're like, he had that cup in his right hand, now it's in his left hand, or there was a fly on his shirt. Did you see that? But now the fly is gone. That's called continuity. So there's a position for that, a script supervisor. Right? Because the script supervisor's job is to pretty much have the script in front of them to keep track of continuity. If the person moves their right hand, but then if they later move their left hand, it's that person's job to step in and tell the director, hey, you know, FYI, or tell the actor, you know, about the continuity situation.
And to elaborate on script supervisor, if somebody like really chopping up the lines in the wrong way and they're saying it this way on take number 1, then take number 2, they said it backwards and add in other words. That's another thing for script supervisors. Okay, help them with the line. Sometimes you need to call the line out to them. So
they'll call line.
You even really kind of low key putting it on an indie set. You're really putting yourself in position. So now there's so many things going on. You say, okay, cool. The actor, he's kind of he's stammering a little bit. And he's trying to say, okay, what's my next line? Next line. You say, oh, you're supposed to say this. Thank you. So you gotta create yourself position.
But only do that
if somebody
asks you.
It's like a vampire. You can't come in the house unless they invite you in. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So don't just be a PA and you're assigned to set up bottled water and snacks, and then you calling out lines to the actor from the craft service table because people gonna look at you. I mean, the actor may appreciate it, but the director's gonna be like, "Who's this guy?"
Yeah, don't do that.
So we're going to keep it moving a little bit, and we're going to talk about some of our most memorable experiences on set, because the cool thing about being in a artistic, creative industry is that you want to do something you're passionate about. And we're both passionate about working in production. And when we're on set, we like to have fun. We're serious, we're professional, we get the job done. But if you're doing something that you love and you're not enjoying it, like, what's the point, right?
It's a terrible experience.
It can be a terrible experience. And especially because when you work on set, you're looking at minimum 8 hours. Like, we've been on set up to 15 hours.
Yeah, 8 to 10 hours. Easy.
That's the minimum, right?
Easy.
And then especially if you're working with a group of people. And so, because we didn't really dig deep, but we wanted to talk a little bit about different personalities. Like how to navigate the personalities on set, because everybody's an artist. Some people have egos. You know, sometimes you have different personalities that clash. Some, you know, you make some lasting friendships. Obviously, me and Jon's relationship as brother and sister was, you know, blossomed from a film production.
Most definitely.
because you really do become like a family. And so for me, I would say my most memorable positive, experiences and the most successful projects I've worked on have been those where the vibe was good. It was the people that made it. And so it wasn't like, okay, we have to get this done because, oh, we're getting paid. It's a job. Everybody was there. Everybody was passionate about it. And I may be a little biased because my favorite project that I've worked on is my own project. Which, why you scrunching your eyebrows?
No, I'm feeling the passion.
Oh, you feel it? Okay. You thought it's a good scrunch. Good scrunch of eyebrows. And if you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel and you want to see Jon scrunching his eyebrows at me, just make sure you subscribe and you can catch that live well, not live, but the visual.
Most definitely. You want to see this lovely lady with her outfit on. Because we made her change twice.
My outfit.
So make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel as well.
Yes, shameless plugs. But anyway, so I would say my feature film, which is A Time for Love that we did back in 2012, was my favorite project because, one, the people. Why are you looking like that? Okay, I'm gonna stop asking you why you.
No, I want to ask because I'm trying to see. You did a lot of things.
I have.
And I didn't know that was your favorite. Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to see.
And when I say it's my favorite, as far as the finished product, it's my favorite story. Again, not trying to be biased because I wrote it.
It was a good
visually
story.
And technically, no. I mean, we shot that movie on mini DV tape. If y'all don't know, like now they use DSLR and Bluetooth and all that stuff. We had mini DV tape, 60-minute tapes where you had to put the tape in, rewind it, fast forward, and the same thing with editing.
Yes,
it was a lot of work. But that was the first time that I really felt like a director, that I really felt like a producer, because I had people like Jon. I had Christy Butler, shout out to her, another producer. Shout out to Nisha Thomas, Jennifer Dorsett, the other producers. I actually had a team of people and I didn't have to do everything myself. No. And I knew it was real when I would step on set and there were people there that I didn't know. And y'all would just be like, oh, Q, this is going to be the wardrobe person today. Or, yeah, Q, like EJ. Shout out to Ernestine Johnson. I think it was Christy that booked her to do the poem. And I didn't know her at the time, but I had producers that had relationships. And again, this is back in 2012. Yeah, but, just stuff like that.
Ernestine Johnson is doing her thing. She is. Phenomenal poet and
philanthropist.
Philanthropist. Activist, just an awesome person. Great businesswoman, great black businesswoman. Mm-hmm. But yeah, just seeing her in a project and seeing how a lot of things manifest in relationships came from things that we did. I also another cast member, Rashawn Ali.
Of course. Now we can't forget Rashawn Ali. And a funny story behind that, how we got Rashawn Ali. Should I share that story? I don't know if I should.
Nah, you ain't got to share that story in details, but I want to say
not in details. But go ahead.
Rashawn Ali is a phenomenal person. Mm-hmm. Great energy, like Q said, being on set is like the culture and the climate. Like on set, everybody wanted to be there, even if you were making $1 million or not. Of course, they were making $1 million, but I'm saying even just making money or no money or whatever. Entry-level position, it was so good. Everybody was treated great. Mm-hmm. And I think that's another thing as a higher up, being a producer. Make people, Maya Angelou said something and I want to kind of quote it. And if I misquote it, y'all tear me up in the comments. What I'm saying? It's all good.
I'll put the text at the bottom of the screen the correct way.
People may forget what you did. They forget what you said, but they never forget how you made them feel. Mm-hmm. And that's what Maya Angelou said. And it's like one thing about that, I know that's facts. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to TLC. That's actual and factual. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to that, when you treat everybody, we was joking about saying the thing about like, oh, why don't you just shut up and you're not supposed to, we don't even talk to people like that. No. I'm going to come on set, you get a little out of hand, we'll in a polite way just kind of like navigate you in a way so you'll understand. But man, everybody going to have a good time. If you're passionate about the project, read over the synopsis, the summary of what the project is about. If you know it's not just riff raff, it's something with some integrity or something, and you telling stories that you want to hear, be a part of something that you want to add something to. So,
exactly. So yeah, and then if we shout out Rashawn, we definitely got to shout out Nadej. It's just so many people like Nadej Bailey. Follow her.
Nadej Bailey, follow her.
She was 6 years old when we did A Time for Love, and since then she's been in
everything.
Yeah, she played Gabrielle Union's daughter. I don't even remember all the name of the movies.
She done did TV shows. She done did a lot of stuff. When I tell you Nadej is so cool at the time, I mean just a beautiful.
And her whole family, because she was only 6, so her parents,
her mom, her dad, her brother, even both her brothers. We even put them in the film as well too.
They were extras.
Most definitely. But it was just an overall good experience. And
it was a family.
And actually doing a feature film, so it wasn't just like we're just doing a 20-minute film, a 30-minute film. We did a full-fledged film and also had a. Excuse me, these veggie chips are busting. But we had a full-fledged film, but we also had a great premiere. Like everything was professional. So like when we say,
and before you jump to the premiere, because I
wasn't gonna go into details with premiere. I was just want to say, I just saying like the beginning and the end, alpha and omega. So the end was the premiere and everything like that. But I'm saying even from the beginning processes, the beginning process all the way up to the end. It was professional.
And technically that wasn't the end, because after that we had multiple screenings.
The
movie is on YouTube, and after coronavirus hit, the views shot up. I think as of today it's at like 230,000 views, and this is a movie we shot in 2012, but people were home.
Throwback Thursday. We'll
throw it all the way back.
We'll put the link in the bio, and even in the film, not only was I the associate producer, not only was
John had a cameo.
Not only was I the storyboard artist, not only was I kind of helped with the shot list and everything like that, setting up shots and stuff. I just kind of just jumped in and dived in, and it was cool because I believed in the project. I believed in the project. I also believed in the people that I was working with. Shout out to Q, you know what I'm saying? And also the other thing was, y'all check it out on YouTube. When I tell you, boy had beach curls, man, hair hanging down, Kango hat on, man, came through with the Prada shoes, pulled up, man, it was funny. It's funny, but y'all check it out. I had a little
stepping out the Hummer.
You know what I'm saying?
And there's a surprise guest stepping out the Hummer with him, but we're not going to tell them about that. They got to watch it and see.
Yeah, watch it and see.
But yeah, so just to wrap that up, I mentioned earlier, though, so the success. Okay, so much with that project. I can't believe you didn't know that was my favorite one. Again, not technically as far as the look of it, because all of our projects improved with time.
And we forgot to shout out the Colonel.
Shout out to Tony Vaughn, yes, from Meet the Browns. Oh my God, I love him so much. Yes, he was in it too. That's what I'm saying. So many people were in it.
For this to be your first feature
film. For this to be my first feature film, and to actually be able to direct these veterans in the industry. But to speed things up, because we were talking about working on set and memorable experiences. So again, the best part, the good in that was the environment, the people. I wouldn't even call it a failure or a bad thing, but a test. That's what we're going to call it. Okay. One of the tests we had on set, a lesson learned.
Not a loss, but a lesson.
Because, mind you, this is independent film, my first feature film.
This was on this project?
This was on A Time for Love. We were filming at an apartment complex, because it's the scene when Brian, and Tracy are going at it.
Don't tell the end.
I'm not going to spoil it. But no. Yeah, there was a scene.
It's a scene.
And in this scene, there's somebody who's driving by. There's supposed to be a shooting in the scene, right? And so kind of how John mentioned before about guerrilla filmmaking, you don't always have props,
And this is before you had the term Karens, because there was no Karens. It was just a regular law-abiding citizen called the police, and this was funny. But go ahead.
So basically, we had the actor, driving up, pointing the gun out the window, literally not firing off the gun, just doing the gun motion.
And I added, and I added special effects too.
And yes, John added special effects to post-production. But this was being done in an apartment complex. So, of course, we didn't talk to the apartment manager beforehand. We didn't have a filming permit. None of that stuff. We didn't even
talk to the neighbors. So
we didn't talk to the neighbors. It was literally my homeboy who I worked with at Banana Republic. It was his house. Because back then, we didn't do filming permits. It was like, oh, hey, can we film at your house? Or you go to a restaurant, talk to the manager. I'm just a student. Can we film my student film at your restaurant? That's how we got a lot of the locations. But anyway, so we're filming, we're doing this scene over and over again. And apparently somebody had called the police. And so next thing you know, a cop car showed up, and I'm inside the house when this happens, right? I'm inside working with the actors in director mode. So this goes back to wearing the hats, producer, director. As a producer, you're a problem solver, putting up money. As a director, you're working hand in hand with your actors. And so they come in and tell me that apparently there's a cop outside because somebody called the police thinking that there was a shooting.
I came in so quick because I was outside at first. I just seen some police pulled up. It was funny.
But mind you, there was no gunshots. So I'm like, why would they even call the police on us? We weren't even making real gun noises.
This when Chargers just came out. The car, so it wasn't a Magnum. This was a Dodge Charger pullout. Dude, I know the guy personally. Dude about 6'2", 200 plus pounds. You know what I'm saying?
So in other words, we should have had a short little white girl driving the car with the gun.
Black dude. And then even though it was a prop gun, it was a 40 cal, big 40 cal. It was a real gun.
I thought it was a real gun. It was a prop gun?
I put the real guns up. This is a prop gun on this side.
Oh, yeah, I remember you did that. But the cool thing is, and this goes back to having good energy, good vibes, good people on set. When the cop showed up, he was mad cool. He asked to be in the movie, right? He asked for a spot in the movie, and he even offered to kind of hang out on set to make sure nothing else happened.
It was beautiful. So, it was beautiful.
It was. So that to me is, again, like I said, a learning experience. So now don't just be rolling up in the neighborhood, filming a shootout, and people don't know what's going on. Or if it does happen when they call the cops, keep a cool head. Don't pop off with an attitude, all of that stuff.
Most definitely. And like I said, going back to what we were talking about earlier, it's all about the energy. We don't really get into energies, but energy is never destroyed. It's only transferred. You give off good energy, you'll get good energy back. I know that sounds hard to believe, but hey, kindness kills callous. So just remember that. So when somebody acting stiffed on you and being a little rude or whatever, keep a cool head, kill them with kindness, keep it smooth, and then people gonna understand. You don't come with no malicious intent. But moving forward though.
And then, so we're talking about like the good, the bad, the ugly, successes, failures, lessons learned. I've had quite a few other lesson learned in ugly situations in being a producer. So this was other projects that I came on board as a producer for. One of them happened pretty recently, but
we ain't gotta talk about
but I will just say there's two experiences out of my little producing career that stand out. There was a situation where, and John, I don't even know if you were there this day, where the makeup artist and one of the actresses got into it. And I literally had to stand in between them to keep them from fighting in the back room. You worked on this project, but you weren't there that day. So
I believe I know what project it is, and I wasn't there that day. And I believe I know who the person was, and I just remembered, but we're gonna move forward on that.
But it was an experience because you don't really get trained for this. And again, you work with different personalities. So you may have a makeup artist who has a certain personality, who may not like to be speak to a certain way, or vice versa, whatever. You may have an actress, talent. You may have a grip person. You may have an assistant director. When you're a producer or a production manager, you kind of got to keep the flow of set. You're responsible for making sure everybody can tap into their creative talent.
And speaking of job titles, that job title, a person that controls the culture and climate on the set, is the assistant director. That's the AD. So I just AD the project too. So you know what I'm saying?
Congratulations.
Shout out to Night Sweats. Y'all make sure y'all follow that on Instagram as well too. The series. We got a couple projects coming out, and I'm not gonna give all the names and just talk about it yet, but we got some things.
And they may be out by the time this podcast drops. But if you're following us on our social media pages, then you'll be aware of the projects that we have coming out. And we're gonna get ready to wrap this up soon. But I was just gonna share a little bit about the other situation that I had to deal with. So that was one where you literally had grown people. It was a Love and Hip Hop moment where I'm literally physically standing in between them to keep them apart. And we ultimately ended up having to send one of the people home, and the other person stayed, and we had to continue on with the night. And so a lot of times when that happens, you have actors who are distracted, the director's distracted, but you want to try to keep everything together.
It throws your professionalism off balance.
It throws it off, and especially when people are getting paid, which we got to talk about that too, John. We got to talk about how people get paid.
We definitely got to talk about it. Well, let's go and finish up the ugly, and we're going to get into that.
Finish up the ugly. And the last situation is something that happened recently where I was working as a production manager. And there was a particular individual who worked as talent that felt they weren't being treated a certain way, properly like they wanted to be treated. And there was a blow up, and the person just was not having it. And they ultimately walked out in the middle of the production. We had already been filming for about 10 hours. We had about 2 more hours to go. And she decided to pack her bags and leave. And unfortunately, everything had to get shut down in that moment and rescheduled.
So she got that bread, and then leave.
No, because, and this is a little piece of advice for producers out there who are making their projects and they are funding their projects. My advice is put it in the clause, but also pay your actors upon completion when they wrap. Because sometimes, if actors get paid and they haven't wrapped or done all their scenes, you've already paid them. They may be out the door. Even if they did a contract, they may not care. So and actors are used to this because typically they don't get paid sometimes net 15, net 30. That's 15 days after they wrap, 30 days after they wrap. But in independent film, a lot of times the day they wrap is usually the day they get paid. So thankfully, since she never made it to the day she wrapped, she didn't get paid. But the downside is the other people that were there, they all still had to get paid. And now they're getting paid twice. So I say all that to say, be mindful in who you choose to have on your set. If you get bad vibes from a person, whether they're talent, whether they're crew, don't be afraid to follow your gut if you feel like, I don't want to have to deal with this on my set, especially if you're funding and financing your project, because it's your money, it's your dollars at the end of the day.
Yeah, most people think that's being bougie or being funny acting. It's not. It's all
not when your money is at stake.
Hey, I know it's business at the end of the day. It's business. It's never personal.
It's creativity, but it's business.
Come on,
too.
It's creativity.
It's business too.
Yeah.
So before we close out this episode, and we didn't even get to talk about everything we wanted to talk about, we're gonna have to do a part 2 because you got to talk about your experiences.
Let's talk about getting paid.
We definitely gonna talk about getting paid.
First of all, you got great stories. I just want to know you got great stories. And your stories are so captivating because we're going to dive in this getting paid thing too. Yeah,
we're going to talk about that. We're definitely going to do a part 2 where John can tell us about his best experiences. Let me see. As far as getting paid, I would say know your rates. And of course, at this point, okay, we talked about production assistants.
Entry rates as
well
too.
Production assistants can and do get paid. Not always. It kind of depends on the production budget. Everything starts with the production's budget. And as independent filmmakers, a lot of times the producers will make room in their budget for things that they really need. And unfortunately, not to cut you off. You just said something so important. You said for things they really need. And that's what I'm saying. So many multiple jobs on film set. We could talk about everything from craft services, which is like feeding people on set, everything from wardrobe stylists, everything from set designers, as far as like we using the same location. And then, hey, don't mind the wall. We about to switch these pictures up in the back too, whatever. But man, we're gonna change it up. And if you have any art as an artist that you want to display and you want to send our way, inbox us and we could definitely showcase your art on the wall. And for those who are only listening to the podcast, John is referring to the wall behind us.
On YouTube, follow the YouTube page again if you listen to the podcast. But I just want people to understand, like even with set design, we might have the one location and you say, okay, well, we need to change this up because this is gonna be the bedroom and it's gonna be the living room. Okay, let's put a couple of chairs, a sofa, a coffee table, set design, like whatever you know how to do. Even if you feel like I'm not creative and I don't know how to do this, it's so many jobs. Q said something that was going back to it now. You got a computer in your pocket. That's your phone. And I know I'm not getting a plug from Google, but hey, hit Google. Go on the internet. Go on the white web and say what type of jobs are on set and see how you can insert yourself in those jobs. If you're a Waffle House cooker, you know how to scramble little eggs and make good meals quick, fast, or whatever, you know how to cater stuff, then you say, you know, I might could do craft service. I know how to do this. I know how to do this. I know they got a budget of this. I can make something and whatever. Fit yourself in how you want to do it. It's so many opportunities out here. So many opportunities. Create your own, being creative, create your own lane. Build your own lane. Create yourself to put yourself in position so you can do this. And that's the way how you get paid. You have entry level rates. Like I said, Google or go on the web. You can say, okay,
and there you can go to Glassdoor. There's so many websites where you can where you can see the average rate. But you want to keep in mind the area that you're in, because the rates here in Georgia may be drastically different from the rates in LA or New York. North Carolina. Again, it all depends on what the standard is, whether you're in a whether you're what is it, SAG for actors, Screen Actors Guild, union workers, that's what it is. Even with crew, because crew can be union just like cast can be union, and then they have minimum rates. So like if they do certain project, there's a minimum amount of money that they have to be paid, and there's a certain number of hours that they have to work. So it gets really technical, but to keep it simple on the independent side, if you want to know, like say you are a makeup artist and you're wondering how much should I charge this film producer for me to do makeup on their set, do a little research, look up other makeup artists and see how much they're charging. And when you meet with the producer, find out what their budget is, you know. But the more projects you do, the easier it'll be for you to set your rate and stick to the rate. So if your most crew members do a daily rate, not an hourly rate. I want to stress that because in film, you can be on set from 4 hours to 14 hours.
Yes.
And no producer is going to pay an hourly rate. I mean, some may for certain things.
For independent films, because you got certain things in budget. And understand, and here's another, I hate to hit y'all with these metaphorical terms. We're going to say this. Even swap is not a swindle. So sometimes when you say, okay, I'm not making $1 million off of this, but I am getting knowledge. I'm getting experience. I'm getting the last episode 2. Make sure you watch it. Your network. You're networking with people. You're building your brand. Now
and building your portfolio.
Building your portfolio. Now people know you. What projects have you been on? I've been on this one. I've been on this one. I've been on this one. They don't know this project was free. They don't know this project was paid. But you say, what do you want to get out of the deal? So sometimes, depending on the projects that I feel passionate about, I'm actually all the way in that project. I'm going to dive in. I want to fill up different positions. I want to make sure my voice and my presence is heard and felt.
Right. Good. All right. So if you have...
Not so proper. Good.
I'm a proper person for 10 hours out of my day, guys.
Buckhead, Sandy Springs. Come on now.
But if you have more questions, because we know we talked about a lot and there's still a lot of stuff that we left out. But if you have specific questions or anything that you want us to elaborate more on, or that you want to ask us, or even if you want us to reach out to some of these positions that we talked about, if you want us to have a makeup artist on the show, or a wardrobe stylist, or a DP, which is director of photography, or an editor. We didn't even talk about post-production and editing.
Man, so much.
Let us know, because we plan on having guests on the show if you want to ask them questions. If you have more specific questions about what to set your rate as, or how do you ask for money, and contracts. We didn't even talk about contracts, and it's just so multi-layered, but that's why we created this podcast.
Lawyers, notaries, everything. So much things to do. But yeah, we're gonna close this out a little bit, but I want to...
felt like you was about to say close us out in prayer. We're going to close this out with a prayer.
This is a different kind of hand right here, you know what I'm saying? Different kind of hand. But no, we just going to close Okay, and everybody, y'all want to make sure y'all follow us on social media. Follow Q at Q Diddy 7, and follow.
Correction, that's Q Diddy _7.
Oh, okay. I think I
You gotta
missed the
follow the
underscore.
right Q Diddy.
That's true. Q Diddy _7, and follow me. Hey, full government name, Jonathan _D _Harris, and it's JONATHAN _D _Harris on social media. Also follow our professional pages, Q Up Productions, and also follow Monarch Mentality Productions on Instagram.
And if you want to check out the projects that we named earlier today, like A Time for Love, again, Jon mentioned on YouTube, we're going to put the link in the description box. Or if you're following us on the social media, I believe the link is in my bio on my Instagram page.
And if you follow us on social media, we're going to actually do a Throwback Thursday and probably do a little segment, a little insert, a little clip. Somebody jumping out the home with a blow pop. But anyway, moving forward. Y'all have a great time. We'll see you on the next episode.
So thank you guys for tuning in to yet another episode of the Elevated Creativity Podcast. We look forward to having you back next week as we're going to continue this conversation because we definitely need to do a part 2. And next week, we're going to hear more about Jon's favorite and not so favorite experiences. The good, the bad, the ugly, and the in-between of him working on set. So thank you guys again for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.